You know, when we look at Qatar's incredible wealth,
Hey everyone,
our
time
minds
to get to
usually
work.
jump to one thing, oil. But that's just scratching the surface. What if I told you the real story? The true engine of their success has almost nothing to do with what's under the sand. That it's really all about a powerful, long-term mindset? Let's dive in and see what that looks like.
So, the common narrative is that Qatar basically won the geological lottery, right? Like they found a lucky ticket buried in the desert. But honestly, that simple story of find oil, get rich, well, it's pretty misleading. It completely misses the real, and frankly, the much more interesting story. Just think about it for a second. If having natural resources was the only thing you needed for wealth, wouldn't every country rich in resources be a global superpower? Well, many of them aren't, not by a long shot. And that tells you something crucial. The resource itself isn't the secret ingredient.
The real secret here isn't a commodity. It's a philosophy. It's a very specific generational way of thinking about money and wealth. This is a mindset that isn't obsessed with next quarter's profits, but is instead focused on building a legacy that will stand for centuries.
So, what's the first pillar of this empire mindset? It all starts with a fundamental shift in priorities. It's about building people, not just projects.
In so many parts of the world, business is purely transactional. It's efficient, yeah, but it's also impersonal. You send an email, sign a PDF, wire the funds, done. But with this mindset, a signed contract is almost an afterthought. The real foundation is trust, and you just can't build that over email. It's built over coffee, through genuine conversations about family, about values, about life itself. And all of this leads to what's called relationship capital. It's this idea that investing your time in building an unbreakable bond of trust is the single most valuable investment you can possibly make. Once that trust is there, business deals become almost a formality. They're just the natural outcome of a solid human connection.
The traditional Majlis captures this perfectly. It's so much more than a meeting room. It's really a filter for character. When you're in these meetings, the first questions are never about your ROI or profit margins. Nope. They're about you, your values, your patience. The business can always wait, but character, that can't.
All right, so the second habit builds directly on that foundation of trust and relationships, and it requires a pretty radical shift in how you see time. You have to stop thinking in financial quarters and start thinking in centuries.
So many of us, and I'm sure you can relate, are glued to the daily charts, right? Riding that emotional roller coaster with every little dip and spike. Well, from this 100-year perspective, that isn't investing. Let's be honest, it's just high-stress gambling.
This long-term view can actually be boiled down into one single incredibly powerful question that guides every major investment. It's not, what's my immediate return? Instead, it is, will my great-grandson be proud to own this in the year 2100? If the answer isn't a clear, resounding yes, then the investment just doesn't happen. It's really that simple.
And this philosophy naturally pushes you towards what you could call unprintable assets. Think about it. Governments can always print more money and devalue it in the process, but you can't print more land. You can't print another historic landmark or more gold. These are assets with real, tangible, enduring value. They're built on stone, not on sand.
So you see, the ultimate goal here isn't just about piling up more and more wealth. It's about wealth transformation. Financial capital is just the beginning. It's used to buy those lasting assets, to fund education, to build knowledge, and all of that, over time, transforms into the most powerful asset of all, a lasting social legacy. Now for our third and final habit, and I've got to say, this one is probably the most profound, and it runs completely counter to almost all conventional financial wisdom. It's called the Baraka factor, or what you might think of as spiritual mathematics. At its absolute core, Baraka is the belief that the fastest way to grow your wealth is to give it away. Now, this isn't charity in the sense of taking a loss. It's actually seen as an act of purification that, paradoxically, leads to multiplication.
This slide shows the difference perfectly. Conventional math is simple subtraction, right? You have $10, you give away 2, you have 8. Easy. But in spiritual mathematics, it's all about abundance. By giving away $2 with the right intention, you're actually creating the conditions for a much greater return, turning your 10 into 20.
So, how on earth does that work? Well, psychologically, it's a two-step process. First, the act of giving absolutely demolishes the scarcity mindset. You prove to yourself that you have more than enough to share, which banishes fear. And second, you create a vacuum. And into that empty space, New opportunities, whether from the market or the universe, if you will, can rush in to fill it.
Okay, let's bring these 3 habits, people, patience, and purpose, all together. This isn't just a financial strategy, it's a complete life philosophy. And it's all perfectly summarized by a really powerful metaphor, the falcon strike.
So at the end of the day, this extraordinary wealth isn't just about what they found in the ground. It's about a mindset that was carefully and intentionally built. The true pillars are people built through real relationships, patience practiced over centuries, and purpose, a belief in something far greater than just profit. And this brings us to that final powerful image, be the falcon. In a world that is completely obsessed with constant motion and frantic activity, the falcon shows us the power of stillness. It just sits and watches with absolute unwavering focus. It doesn't chase every little thing that moves. It waits for the right opportunity. And when that moment finally comes, it strikes with total precision and commitment.
Which leaves all of us with one final crucial question to ask ourselves. Are we just building a portfolio for today, or are we building a legacy for tomorrow?